The following podcast contains subject matter that may be unsuitable for more sensible viewers. Views expressed here do not reflect that of any community that you would want to be a part of. Listener discretion is mandatory. Mama, what does chickens mean?
No! Ree, I need to tell you about my night last night.
Ooh, tell me about it.
So I'm hanging out in my apartment. I've got some candles lit. I'm feeling good. I've had 8 glasses of wine.
Gotcha.
And down in the street, I hear these 2 beautiful boys playing. They're skateboarding. They're doing flips or something. And one of them looks up at me and has the most beautiful face I've ever seen. Asian.
Beautiful.
And you know how I like a little Asian. You remember my date with Len?
Very well.
The point is, I say, woohoo boys, and they sort of look. The one who isn't Asian is black.
This, you know you don't have to. This can be a colorblind story.
I want to fill it with color.
I'm just saying, there's a race problem in podcasting right now.
And in Canada, a racism problem.
I agree.
Well, this story isn't racist. It's diverse. If everyone in it was white, then it would be racist. Ree Carter.
You know what? You're right. Go ahead.
So the boys came up to my apartment, and I'm wearing a robe. I'm only wearing a robe. And I say, why don't you come into my boudoir and watch me do a monologue? And they say, where's the bed? And I say, this is the bed right here. And they say, can we sit on the bed? And I say, sure, but these are expensive Japanese linen. And they say, but they're not even soft. And I say, sometimes things that are expensive are worse.
Wow.
So anyway, I suck both their dicks.
And welcome once again to another episode of Tranifesto, the show that pioneered setting up a gay-straight alliance in the change room of the last hot topic. I am one of your hosts, Madeline Hops. I am joined today by...
There are lots of hot topics.
Well, there's
It's still going strong.
We
I
stand.
have been to Hot Topic in the past month.
Uh-huh.
Of course you have.
Listen. I'm Amy Blair.
And I'm Ree Carter, and I am the manager of the last Hot Topic.
You're my boss, which makes this dynamic on the podcast a little bit weird, because I'm like the shitty employee at Hot Topic who has gauged ears and seen hair in 2019, and you're my boss who dresses like a normal person.
To be fair, though, to be the shittiest employee at Hot Topic, that is an accomplishment.
Also, you have the least amount of piercings out of anybody on this.
No, you're right. I have
so. 0
piercings.
I think I'm the only one with gauged ears, actually.
Yeah, I think Amy's the square. So Amy's the square boss.
Hurts my feelings.
Well, welcome back to the show. Yes, so this week we've decided to take a step away from the big screen, even the small screen, to the smaller screen, the
little screen, the baby
tiniest
screen.
of screens.
You can watch this on your phone.
Yeah, and the nice thing is this episode is available to anybody who has an internet connection, so it's on YouTube.
It's on YouTube, and you should fucking watch The Gay and Wondrous Life of Caleb Gallo.
Yes. So that's
don't listen. I mean, spoilers don't matter that much for this show. It's not a plot-heavy show. Mostly,
it's just a feeling. It's a feelings-heavy show.
As you can tell,
it matters. You need to watch this.
Yeah, as you can tell, we're quite excited about this episode. Amy in particular. So yes, fabulous light.
They're both sitting there with bombs tied to their legs, and I have a button. And if they don't record an episode on the Gay and Wondrous Life of Caleb Gallo, I will press the button. And so they're indulging me right now. So
out of fear. To be fair, it was every day this week. Have you watched it? Have you watched it? Have you watched it? And now that I've watched it, I have to say I am absolutely glad I did, and I'm glad that Amy here asked me about this. So yes, the Wonderfully Gay Life of Caleb Gallo. So yeah, unsurprisingly, Amy would like to do the synopsis on this. So yeah. Amy, yeah, by all means.
So it's this web series. It's on YouTube. It's 5 episodes long. They're very short. The whole show is an hour and a half long. And then it ends, and they don't try to keep it going, which I respect. It's made by this guy, Brian Jordan Alvarez. in 2016. He's fantastic. He has his whole YouTube channel full of other skits and stuff, but this is his magnum opus so far, his masterwork. So The Gay and Wondrous Life of Caleb Gallo follows the life of Caleb Gallo, who is this like disastrous gay slut boy living in LA, trying to become an acting coach for inner city youth. He doesn't like that terminology. And he has all these friends who are trying to be fucking actresses and such, just doing their best and being disastrous, slutty, gay and gay adjacent people together. Like the main plot arc of this sort of goes through the whole series, but there's like other little side things going on. But the main thing is Caleb is a slut. He's like not good at monogamy, but he's just gotten into this relationship with this guy, Benicio, who he had like a fling with before Benicio had to leave the country because of visa stuff. But then Benicio wants to be monogamous. But Caleb is also in love with his straight friend, friend, Billy.
Which happens.
Yes. Who is like a completely catastrophic actor who's just a complete mess, but weirdly sexy, regrettably sexy.
Oh, absolutely.
But Caleb knows that Billy is straight, so Caleb tries to set Billy up with his friend Karen, who is also trying to be an actress, but she's like a more successful actress than everybody else. And is like a weird, chaotic, quirky, straight girl. And they go on a date.
That's my alignment. Chaotic, quirky.
They go on a date. Yeah,
She's
true. You're Karen.
Fruit fly. She's a fruit fly.
You have Karen energy. You kind of have Lenchman energy too. So that date goes really badly, but Billy is still in love with Karen. He also sets his friend Lenjamin up with Freckle, who is this gender fluid queen, and we stan.
I love her. I love her.
Because Freckle has decided that he's going bi for capitalist reasons. So he wants to stick his toe in the water with a gender fluid person. And Freckle tries and fails to woo him. But the date goes badly. But Billy and Karen wind up hooking up anyway. But then immediately after, Caleb winds up hooking up with Billy, which is weird. He sucks Billy's dick after some remarkable sexual tension. Which pisses Karen off, and now Caleb has lied to Benicio and cheated on Benicio, and it's very messy. And then Benicio comes to LA to visit, and it becomes increasingly clear that Caleb is awful at monogamy, and they nearly break up, but then Benicio is about to be deported, so Caleb proposes so they can get married so he can stay in the country. And they get married, Freckle officiates the wedding, it's very beautiful. Billy tells Benicio after the wedding that Caleb sucked his dick, which causes a whole shitstorm that eventually blows over when Lenjamin tells everyone to hug each other. And
they do.
The solution to all our problems.
And yeah, they kind of just
You
get over
know,
it.
if Trump and the Ayatollah could just hug, I think it would change a lot of things. Pete Buttigieg for president.
Because they all love each other. You know, that's really what's going on here in world politics, is that Putin loves Trump, and Trump loves Macron, and Macron loves Trudeau, and Trudeau loves Putin, and they all just love each other. Yeah. And if only they would hug it out
in a circle.
In a circle with no weed.
Of jerks.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is liberal ideology.
So, like, explaining the plot to this only really helps us so far because it's not really a plot-driven show. It's a character-driven show.
It's just like a general overview.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the show. Yeah, and it's very, very good. It's sort of this comedy exploration of queer culture and sort of the disastrous ways that we relate to each other as broken gay people.
Yeah, so I mean, like,
which is what we're doing on this podcast.
Exactly. We are a reflection of art, and so with that thought in mind, I'd like to kind of dive right into it, which is just the main. Since it's not a plot-heavy show, the queer culture as it's portrayed in there, because there is a lot to unpack. There are so few shows that feel like they are built for the queer audience by a queer audience, but like the idea of like. It's like a gateway into the culture that exists only if that you generally only know about if you're in it.
Yeah, exactly. Like this is like queer cinema made by people who are deeply connected to the lifestyle they're portraying.
Who are terminally gay.
Yeah.
Terminally gay, terminally slutty, terminally polyamorous, terminally bad at commitments, terminally fucking all of their friends. Like, this is relatable.
Polyamory
it's
is
good
just like
representation.
polyamory is just hipster open relationship. That's what it feels like nowadays. It feels like I should go drink like craft beer and then fuck other people. You're polyamory.
That's what we do in Vancouver.
It's the only thing you can
That's the
do.
whole point of Vancouver, is drinking craft beer and fucking other people.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Is like, so it's, but the other thing too is like, there's a sense of wholesomeness to it as well that people, because I feel like, and as someone who may be on the outside of the community, like you're like, oh, they're just all being sexual and depraved. But like, for those of us in the community watching that, it's very sweet because there's that one moment where they're all in that group hug, and I think it was Billy who said that like, you know, we all love each other. And they're like, and there was a joke going about what kind of love and all that stuff, but it's true. Like at the end of the day, they all loved each other from the, and they and they didn't judge each other based on where they were in like whatever sexual expression they had, and that was really beautiful to me.
So many sexual expressions.
Yeah, because like,
I mean, except for Lenjamin, who was like clearly just working through things completely based on like the benefit or like the just phase of it all.
I have met people like Lenjamin, because Lenjamin decides he's going to go bi because he read an article about how people who are bi do better in business, which, like, you know, you might as well go bi. So he tries to go bi, it doesn't work. Next day he decides he's Catholic. I don't know where
Actually, that does sound like me, because I have been like, I have said many times that I have an impending like Christian phase that like would just because it would be on brand for me. Shit, no, yeah, no, I'm Lenjamin. I've done really stupid shit just because I decided it was on brand for me.
But even Lenjamin's character, I thought was interesting based on the fact that like he still had a place within that community no matter where he went through, and additionally on top of that, there was no judgment for whatever journey he was on, and like, I think it's like one of those things that like exists within both the queer community and also like the healthy queer community, and also improv, which is the phrase just yes and. Like,
well, yeah, and like it's not just queer people; it's also actors.
Yeah,
like, there are straight people in the show. Like Karen's straight, Lenjamin is straight, but they're so like deeply integrated into this friend group of like gay actors that they themselves start to kind of just be a part of that scene.
But that
is like very, very relatable.
Yeah.
I know people like this.
But it's also very interesting, and it's also very, and this is why it gets back to the wholesomeness, is because they still have a place within it, and there's no judgment. I thought it was really beautiful, even though it was like, you know, I thought it was beautiful that fucking Caleb's boyfriend, like, wore dresses just because it was fun. And he just looked adorable. Like, he looked amazing. And he just, like,
Yes, like, Benicio is, he's beautiful.
Oh,
Benicio
beautiful.
Is, like, our perfect boy.
Yeah.
And no one in the show deserves him.
Don't really like Benicio.
Like, as a person or as an attractive person?
No, very attractive, but I just met people with that energy, and they just, like... Benicio is very... I have a lot of, like, party friends, like, people who I love to see for, like, 10 minutes, and, like, anything past that, their energy starts to, like, just completely bum me out. And Benicio is a very good representation of that. Like, just... I could not be with that. I could not hang out with that person for more than 10 minutes, but for that 10 minutes, I would be very stoked.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Benicio...
Oh, go ahead.
I mean, Benicio is also the only person in the show who takes anything remotely seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, there's also, too, like, there's just, like, I think anybody in the show, for me personally, like, I don't, like, it is too high energy for people I would normally hang out with, but, like, there's some form of it. But, like, the idea that just, like even they touch on the subject of, like, monogamy and open relationships and, like, how prevalent that is in the community.
Yeah, like, most gay couples I know are open. It's just a fact.
Which sucks because
I've had that happen. Yeah.
No, because for me it's been like I am pretty like, you know, if some random trans person adds me on Facebook, like I'm pretty down for that because I'm like, you know, whatever, community. I don't even use Facebook, but like I've definitely had randos message me being like, hey, how's it going? Like someone I've never talked to and have no mutual friends with. What's your kink? Are you are you in an open relationship? And I'm like, if a cis like straight person randomly messaged you and asked what your kinks were and what your relationship status was, you'd be pissed. So like, it's trans community, hold yourself to the same standards that you hold cis people.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Like it's like you can obviously be open about that stuff and whatnot, but like at the same time too, like there is a decorum that needs to be that I do find sometimes lacks within the queer community. Just because it's just like you can like I will say this, it is harder to make friends in the queer community based solely on the fact that like I don't want to fuck them, I just want to be friends, but like I have to work backwards from that expectation that I'm going to fuck them. There's people I'm going to be meeting in Montreal who I'm excited to meet as friends. My concern is that they will want me to fuck them, and I don't want to do that.
Well, because also, like, when you have this type of queer community that is very sexualized and very sexually driven, and also largely polyamorous, you get into that space of people who, you know, who have that blurred line between being a close friend and being a partner.
Yeah.
Yeah, or like,
you know what I mean?
And
like
to be
knowing
in a relationship or to have a sexual element to it, and like.
And if that's something that you're not into, then that's something that you have to navigate. That like, I mean, I'm speaking from a very personal experience. So I can't necessarily project that onto anyone else. But like,
I mean, it's not universal.
It's something it's something that was that bummed me out in retrospect.
Totally.
I think that every trans person, especially, but probably most queer people who've lived in Vancouver at least, have this experience of like, it's very much like the unwritten assumption that you are polyamorous and that you like to fuck a lot and that you are kind of loosey-goosey about who you have like physical
If you've had this experience, please write into the show.
Send us your confessionals.
We will run out of space
I've often said that if you're monogamous in Vancouver, you have to come out as monogamous. And I mean, this show portrays that quite well, where it's like the assumption a lot of the time that everyone's just gonna fuck each other, and you know, that's just normal.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because one of the struggles is Caleb not knowing how to be monogamous.
Yeah. Well, Caleb doesn't necessarily seem to want to be, and that's cool. Like, Caleb's issue is not that he's a slut or that he like wants to be poly or open. Caleb's issue is that he commits to things that he doesn't really want because he's so enraptured by Benicio and so kind of easygoing to the point that it's self-destructive, where Benicio's like, what if we just don't see other people? And Kayla's like, yeah, I'm down for that. But like, it's clear that he doesn't want that. And then he immediately goes and sucks Billy's dick.
Yeah, and sucks his fucking dick. But it's also, like, I think, like, a lot of the polyamory in the queer community, trans community, stems from the fact of just rejection of the old life and, like, losing all those people. And so, like, you do feel that kind of hurt. And so a lot of people tend to seek out... I mean, a lot of people just want to fuck, which is fine. But then the emotional element of it is, like, people seek that out to kind of, like, accommodate their loneliness rather than trying to address it, because like transition is a very lonely thing. Even if you have support systems, it's a very personal, lonely thing. So sometimes what I find is like a lot of people will replace trying to learn to stand on their own 2 feet with being supported by a harem of people.
It's like the polycule becomes the chosen family. And that sounds like that's funny, but it's true.
It is true.
It's very much what a lot of people wind up doing, and I understand that. And like, okay, for the record, we're not saying that it's wrong to have that kind of relationship or to want that kind of relationship. Mm-hmm. It's just the extent to which it is so prominent in this community does sometimes lead to problems.
We just simply have to ask the question, why is it so prevalent with us? And then we have to work our way backwards
because
from there.
We love to fuck.
Yeah. Well, but that reminds me of like the pride discourse, like the should pride be sexual discourse, because it's based on the assumption, it's under the assumption that, you know, queerness is inherently sexual, which like as a sexual person, I love that pride is sexual, and I think that even heterosexuals should have their own ridiculous heterosexual sexuality parades as well.
Yeah.
You know, it's equality.
Yeah, and I can't believe I actually get to drop this because I fucking never get to, but like as a parent, felt so good to say, as a parent, like,
You're a parent?
It's a parent. But as a,
That's so bad.
That's so bad. But as a parent, and I take my daughter to Pride, like, there's no problem. I guess that's the thing, is, like, when fucking people do the whole, like the pearl clutching, won't somebody think of the children? Like, fucking kids don't give a shit. Like, Rain sees, like, fucking guys in leather outfits, and she giggles. She thinks it's funny. Because that's the only thing that really separates, like, in terms of, like, I guess on a biological level, it's just, like, queer people from, like, non-queer people. It's just, like, the attraction levels. And
Well, I mean, there are like one or two 14-year-old asexual, aromantic people who are throwing their opinions into this discourse. So don't pretend it's entirely one-sided.
Yeah.
Can I, like, interject with a hot take about this discourse?
Oh, yeah.
Please do,
I will
please.
back you up, by the way.
Y'all need to stop pretending like Pride matters. Like,
Yeah.
the Pride Parade. Like, I don't know if you've ever been to, like, a city Pride Parade, or if you're just, like, discoursing about it on Twitter, because, like, Pride Parades are, like, it's just a city festival, and, like, the real people with power over Pride are not, like, the community. It's, like, the corporations who do floats, and, like, the fucking prime minister who wanders in, and, like, the fucking cops. Like, it's not, and it hasn't been for, like, at least 5 years, probably a decade, anything
Which,
really
if we're-
relevant to the community or the discourses that we're engaging with.
And
just
if
a
we're gonna
fucking
live
parade.
in like, yeah, if we're gonna live in like a capitalist hell world, I'd rather live in the capitalist hell world where banks and cops will march in a pride parade, but like changing anything of that is not gonna get us out of capitalist hell world.
Yeah, and
so
also,
might as
like,
well just
I
fucking
want to be
focus your
able
efforts
to-
where it counts.
I want to be able to have my titties out at Pride because I want
Yeah.
to do a whole look, and it's very
Every
hot
year.
in Vancouver in August.
Every year I go out with my titties out at Pride. It's so good. It's just fun. Like, I guess it's just like an excuse for people to just relax for a bit, because there's such a Protestant or Quaker mentality still with sex, and that is a taboo thing. Like, sex shops are still that skeezy place that you go to. Like, and it shouldn't be. It's bullshit.
That's it. Vancouver does have some very boutique sex shops.
It does, and it's because of things like Pride. Like, you know, does sex belong at Pride? And like, I agree with Amy that, like, fucking who gives a shit. But that saying, I still love going to Pride because it's just fun. Like, it's just like, I don't think,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
go to it and put my fucking hand over my heart as like a dance beats play, and I like have a tear come down my fucking eye for Stonewall. It's just, I go, I have a little fucking flag. I go, like, fucking just hang out at the beach and just walk around and fucking see a bunch of gay-ass people. It's fun.
And it's
Well,
like
because a lot of people want to say, like, the whole, you know, Pride started as a riot thing, where it's like, okay, well, that riot has been completely co-opted, and, like, if you want things to change, you're going to have to do more riots at more situations.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I'm all for riots, and I'm all
Yeah.
for, like,
This
radical
podcast is
politicization.
pro-riot.
I'm all for radical politicization of queer spaces and of queer activism. I'm all for throwing bricks, and I'm all for condemning cops at queer events and such. But, like, the Pride Parade, like the city events that happens every year in major cities, especially ones with big gay communities, that's a lost cause. And it's been a lost cause for a long time for that sort of radical politicization.
Go ahead.
You need to engage with the reality of this, which is that litigating Pride, you're not actually going to change that thing. You're just going to redirect a discourse that could be better served at like creating new spaces or creating new events or creating new communities and activism spaces.
And this is
Pride says Pride is to gay people as St. Patty's Day is to Irish liberation.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh god, yeah. Like the fucking IRA does not litigate about fucking St. Patrick's Day parades.
Yeah, but like we also need to remember too that pride parades. We're talking from, of course, of a place of major metropolitan cities. Pride parades in different parts of the world are still considered riots, or like they
for
do
sure.
have a place. Like for places where, you know, homophobia is still way more prevalent than it is here. I mean, we're blessed the fact that we live here and
we're flexing our
Oh,
Vancouver
yeah.
privilege. right now.
One of my best friends who's non-binary was just in a like one of these like interior British Columbia cities, and like again, British Columbia is still like the one of the most progressive places on earth, even at its worst, and was in one of these cities that had like all of the pride shit all over the place, and still got called a faggot like 10 times.
Yeah, so I mean, like in places
Just
like,
walking down the street.
Yeah, and so places like that where it's like there is smaller things like pride parades are they are
for sure.
that moment. But like when we were talking about this, just to clarify, so like people don't fucking write in and be like, well, what about that? Like, no, that's fine. Like those parades are still an act of politicization. They are basically throwing themselves in the face of the establishment. Whereas pride parades in more developed countries, Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver, they're more
Vancouver,
about, like,
the most developed country.
Yeah, exactly. But they are more of the, like, they're the showmanship. And those ones, like you said, the energy that people will spend getting angry about that, go fucking set something up. Use that passion to do something that will actually benefit the community outside of Halloween to Electric Spookaloo.
Right, so we're talking about Caleb Gallo.
Yeah, let's get back to that. Alright,
another
so,
topic
Yeah,
is gender fluidity as it is portrayed in this show.
which I fucking love.
Oh, it's so much fun. Like, half of this show is about gender fluidity.
Yeah, because so, like, one of my favorite things in terms of just, like, personal philosophies with life is, like, gender anarchy, which is just people just, like, first off, I think gender is absolutely irrelevant. Like, I hate the fact that it exists within the framework of even having to address people. So it's nice to just see a bunch of people just relax. For example, what's his face?
Like, Caleb's worn, like, skirts to, like, regular events.
And Benicio wears, like, a full fucking dresses twice. And, like, it's just,
well, Benicio is just... I mean, Benicio is actually an interesting thing to talk about, because, like, there's that line at the end, which is one of the most serious scenes in the whole show, where Billy is talking to Benicio right before the wedding, and Benicio is painting his nails. And Billy's like, you really like painting your nails, huh? And Benicio's like, yeah, I think it brings me some clarity. And Billy's like, how does it bring you clarity? And Benicio's like, well, I literally just like to have pink on my nails. Like, it doesn't need to be a rebellion. It doesn't need to be this, like, hard political statement. I just want to do this, and I do this to remind myself that I'm allowed to do what I want.
Exactly. And so
see, that's funny because, like, I kind of took that as, like, a sort of just flighty sort of, like, I don't subscribe to anybody's labels. I'm just kind of different, but, you know, like, which is, like, for people who do not have a, like, completely stable sense of self say, because it makes them sound interesting. But again, that might just be based on my interpretation, my personal feelings about people like Benicio.
That's meant to be read that way or not. I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
I read it as quite a serious scene.
Yeah, but, like, I think what I like about it too is just the fact of the matter is, like, it does highlight the fact that, like, politicization and, like, you know, like, what we do can be viewed as statements where at the end of the day it should just be like, nobody asks why you wear whatever socks you wear for the most part. Like, somebody should just be able to wear nail polish and just like, yeah, it's fine. They wear a dress, it's just like, yeah, it's fine. Like, it shouldn't have to be, like, not everything needs to be a statement. It could just be you like it. Like, I've known some very hetero men that painted their nails and they're just like, I don't know, it's like purple. And they're just like, okay, cool. Like, that's the end of the conversation.
Yeah, they just like...
Travis from My Brother and Me, which, you know, we have a bet going on how long until he cracks as an egg, but he loves to paint his nails, and he has, like, purple hair, and as far as we can tell at this point in time, we will publish a redacted article later on if we need to, is just a cis hetero dude, and he just likes doing those things, and there should be nothing wrong with that.
Hetero men who paint their nails, also known as my type.
I don't know. There's, like, there's a type where, I don't know. A lot of people who paint their nails are the, like, very, like, I'm a male feminist, like...
Oh, no, yeah, they're...
Very terminally online
Well, there are certain,
allies.
There are several archetypes of it, but there are genuine people.
Which, again, much like a pride parade, I'd rather live in a world where, like, fucking allies who are much too loud exist than not.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah.
And also too, I think, like, the one thing that we should all talk about, because I think they were our favorite character, Freckle. Freckle is absolutely amazing, and Freckle will be the energy I take with me into the remaining years of my transition.
So Freckle is played by Jason Green, who themselves are gender fluid. Yes. Freckle is a gender fluid queen, pronouns uncertain. Caleb I think uses he pronouns at one point. I think someone else uses she pronouns.
Freckle is the only person who gets to use any/all pronouns.
Yes, exactly.
Jason Green uses they them, I believe.
Yeah, so the character in this, though, it's very much played on the idea of gender irrelevance, almost, where it's just, they will just go through, and the thing was just, like, it's kind of like a go with the flow, and I love that, because it's just, even though it's like an exaggerated version, I just love the character in terms of just, like, their honesty.
Well, Freckle is the epitome of what I'm trying to be, which is, like, just, like,
on beta blockers.
So wait a second. You are a trans woman trying to be a gender fluid, not a gender person.
It's not about the gender. It's about the energy, the performance, the theater that Freckle brings to the table.
True. I think it is funny to like the idea of somebody who like transitions to the point of that, and then from there goes to gender fluid. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting.
There are people like that. I know.
Yeah, there's a friend of mine right now who basically just realized, like, after she transitioned, and I mean, even though she's still going by she, her pronouns, it's one of those things where she's like, well, I guess, like, I never considered I could just be more feminine, and it's not a problem. So, like, the gender fluidity of that, and I think right now they've settled on kind of like being a tomboy, but still going she, her pronouns. But, like, that's again, like, that's the kind of complicated relationship, and that's why I admire her.
Freckle's relationship to gender is like one of absolute lack of concern.
That is it. That was what I was about to say, which is just like
Freckle is like, yeah, I can be a twink. I can be whatever you want me to be, baby. I've got a fistful of prep and some MDMA. Let's go.
And I wish I had the courage to fucking do that, because that is awesome. Like, that is, like, Freckle, like, just seems to be the most authentically herself all the time. Like, not having to switch roles. It's just Freckle, no matter what they're doing. And it's inspiring, oddly enough. Like, there's a confidence that comes with it as well. And just,
well, it's like a totally unhinged confidence at times that I love.
Yeah.
Like, FaceTiming a group of people and then just doing like a 30-second like pose montage where everyone sits in silence before saying hi.
Yeah. But yeah, I love them for that reason, and I honestly wish I could see more characters like that in shows.
Absolutely.
Especially more gender fluid characters. Interestingly enough, as we were talking here, I pulled up Jason Green's biography, and they're still making movies even as of this year.
Jason Green's active. They're all still active. All of these actors are like friends, I guess, and work together a lot, but are actual actors in LA. Like it's a parody, but the show is not totally, I think, divorced from their actual lives.
I think the thing about Freckle is that this is a character who is like, from a queer perspective. So like, like if you're in the queer community, someone who has that type of identity. But Freckle is written and performed in such a way that I feel like you could drop this character into basically any sitcom.
Yeah.
And it'd be completely palatable and understandable no matter what your familiarity with the queer community is, which is really interesting.
Freckle is a perfect character.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is like, because even like there are definitely, queer characters in things that are shoehorned that feel unnatural, but I feel like this is an example of a way that like no matter how out there the identity is, it could be like feel very natural.
Well, and that's the thing I wanted to touch on too, which is just the idea of just like it just doesn't matter. Like, and that's the nice thing. It's just like it's showing a character that is not tropey. It's just them, and it's like, even for me as someone who's been in the community, like watching that character, I don't know, there was something just refreshing about them. Like, having to watch a character, because so many storylines, narratives are intrinsically tied to the gender of the individuals who perform them, and Freckle would show on, and for like, I guess maybe even like the first time of me watching any shows, like it just, because the show wasn't based on like the struggles of a gender fluid person.
Yes, exactly. It's like,
it wasn't melodramatic. It was just in a everyday kind of sense, and of course a little bit larger in life, but like every day. And just watching this person not have to contend with any gender roles about themselves, and if gender did come up with them, they would just slide into it easily, and like you as the watcher are just as the viewer are just like, yeah, that's fine, and it feels so good. It honestly is like it's a feel when I see them, it's just feeling good about the fact that for in that tiny bit of the show, gender is absolutely irrelevant, and sexuality too, because they just sound like someone who will just if they like you, they'll fuck you. Yeah.
I've watched Caleb Gallo like 5 times in the past 2 weeks.
Oh god. I kind of
because I was like, someone mentioned it and I remembered it existed, and so I watched it, and then I had to show it to someone else because I remembered, and then I watched it with them, and then I watched it with someone else for the same reason, and then I got drunk and watched it with other people, and then I watched it for the podcast.
Yeah.
It's like extremely bingeable and extremely rewatchable.
Totally.
That reminds me, that's how I am with, like, BreadTube videos. Just, like, whoever I'm hanging out with is like, have you watched this new Philosophy Tube video yet? Let's fucking watch it. I've already watched it 8 times,
Well,
so let's watch it again.
We were gonna have sex, but H-Bomber guy just did a takedown of...
I will watch Ollie anytime.
Oh, Ollie. Hey,
At
Ollie,
any time of day.
If you ever
no matter
listen
what
to
I'm
the show,
doing.
or if anybody knows Ollie,
Can you give him my number?
Yeah, our number is this podcast. And just... Hi, Ollie. Oh, God.
It is, we are recording this just a bit after Father's Day, so.
Yeah, come on the show, Dad. So I guess was the last...
Dad.
God, I just love... The more I think about it, too, like, it's like one of those things that's just slowly simmering in my brain the more I think about
so
fucking
good.
Freckle. Yeah, like, the more I think about Freckle, I'm just like, that is exactly what I wanted to see in a character. Like, I won't put this on the show, we'll cut this, obviously, but, like, it's funny, because Freckle is the first character I've ever watched that's made me question... post-transition, it's made me question my identity, and it's awesome. Like, I just fucking love it.
No, yeah, it's like, why can't I be like that?
Exactly. Like, that's the thing. It's like I like identify as a trans woman, and I go with she her pronouns. But like, if there was, I think like part of the reason I just like went with that was because it's easier than having to.
Oh god, yeah, no, I know. It's like the thing about Freckle is that like it's not shown in the show really, but she's presumably putting up with like a lot of shit from people.
So question.
Yeah.
If since I'm like, I've transitioned fully to female and had surgery, if I went back to being male, would I technically be FTM?
That is the question. I have been trying to figure this out. Like, would you be a trans guy?
Because I feel like I would feel like a trans guy.
I mean, you would be taking T injections. Like every...
So
I would have to take T injections, yeah.
And you would have to change your name to Aiden.
Or Rowan.
Anything
maybe if I transition back,
Skylar.
maybe I could finally grow a beard on.
with Skylar.
Yeah, like you'd be like an AMAB trans guy. Because you would have more trans guy
just
experiences than cis guy experiences.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because no, you would be AMAB trans.
I mean, it's like detransition, but it's different from most detransition because most detransition is just off hormones.
Yeah.
More like it's like retransition. I feel like there must be at least one person out there who's
totally.
like done that.
Totally.
Probably.
Yeah.
They probably have like a really problematic book.
Yeah, and then,
just doing the rounds on like
You
fucking
bet.
conservative media.
yeah, they're at they're at Douglas College, they're at fucking UBC.
If the Daily Wire ever gets a trans correspondent, it's gonna be that.
Oh god, it will be too.
Just kidding. If the Daily Wire gets a trans correspondent, it's gonna me. Please hire me.
No, and like Madeline,
Alright.
on what you were saying, like, sorry,
Okay.
like, because I thought about this too with Freckle. It's like, why am I not just doing that? Like, why do I need to cling so hard to like a binary identity
Yeah.
or to like
And so
that
like,
kind of thing?
Originally I was gonna say that like we already got this part out, but I think we'll leave this in. For me with Freckle, it's one of those things where like they are technically living the life that I think under different circumstances I would have gone for, because like in terms of the non-binary stuff, and like I'm perfectly happy with the way it is, but like, and I kudos to everybody who is non-binary because y'all put up with a lot, and like I admire what you do, but like I identify as a trans woman, she, her, because a lot of times it's just fucking easier, like especially with like a child and shit. Like it's just easier to do that. But like you're right. Like I look at Freckle and I'm just like there is a part of me that goes like I want more to be like that. And who knows?
To be so unconcerned with it, because like I'm concerned as shit with gender.
Exactly.
You know, like I worry about gender all the fucking time. I worry about how people perceive me. I worry about how people recognize my gender. I worry about my presentation and how I portray myself so much.
Yeah.
And a lot of that does come down to like needing to fit into binary womanhood as an AMAB person.
Yeah.
But like,
But it's
I don't
also
think
weird.
I could actually put up with being not like that, even if I got over that kind of thing. Because like I get a lot out of like that recognition. Like it's not just a means to an end for me. It's also its own end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, but like it's weird to be, because again, I'm also like I think all of us are to a certain extent like significantly more binary than like, you know, a lot of other trans women who like don't even necessarily identify as non-binary. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But like what is it like to, it's weird to think about it as like somebody who is that but also thinks that gender is bullshit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like
It's,
just the dialectic of wanting to be binary and gender being bullshit.
yeah, well, because it's even interesting for us because we know it's an option, we know it's a valid option, and yet still we're like, like there's a certain element of courage. I guess the thing is like, and I guess my final thoughts on Freckle, because otherwise we'll keep going on forever. It's just the fact that like I just like the fact that it's, to me, that character symbolizes a freedom I wished existed in society, but will probably not be widespread accepted in my lifetime. Just because I would love that. I would love like a world of Freckles. But like I like
You know what you know what that reminds me of?
what's that?
Is the like whole conservative line of like whenever they're criticizing trans people, when they're like, "Oh, you can just be a man who wears a dress and like
it's so fucking
or
easy,
you could
dude. Like,
yeah, it's like as what is this fucking fantasy world that you exist in where like, you know, you won't get murdered by people who think like you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
and that's where like the gender just consistently fucks things up. Like it's just, you could just be like, if you wouldn't have to say like you're expected to do XY because you are XY. Like if gender was irrelevant and out of there, yeah, sure, we'd find something else to be assholes about, but it would give us like, I don't know, there's some guys that could rock skirts way better than I can, and I wear a skirt every fucking day. Like, I would love to see that. There's nothing cuter than just seeing people just be how they want to be, and I think, coming back to the conversation we had about pride, isn't that the fucking point? Like, just to be yourself, and you will be loved for that by those who should love you. So yeah, Freckle, absolutely amazing. I wish there was more Freckles in this world, and I wish there was a world of Freckles.
And Freckle is like a character that is just unlike anything we've seen before.
Yeah.
In queer cinema,
and probably it will be a long time before we find someone like that, because I cannot think of where I saw like the combination of like melodrama or there's no melodrama in this. It's just, you know, a comedy, and it's someone who has confidence in who they are. It's absolutely wonderful. But so moving along to the last point that we want to go, which is media made by queers and gay comedy, because despite what I was under the impression, due to some comments that were given to us, apparently we're a political comedy podcast now, which
oh god,
Tanky's hit us
Are we
up.
political?
Apparently, I've gotten a couple people who said that they're new to the whole fucking politics, and like apparently we're one of their favorite political podcasts. So, congratulations, we're now all responsible for the downfall of humanity.
we're a bunch of fucking just like milquetoast fucking democratic socialists pandering to tankies.
It's just like communism sounds neat. But so yeah, gay comedy, I would like to kind of focus on
don't
that.
call me a democratic socialist. I don't like labels.
So yeah, gay comedy, and I mean, like, I think back to one of our guests, Lily, who's doing an amazing work by actually pushing through, and she made a joke about this, but it's true, which is just like, there's like 3 fucking gay comedians in Toronto, and I want to put this out there, and, you know, feel free to agree or disagree, but the idea is like, the trans community, and I think the gay community has kind of done better at this, but like the trans community is still trying to develop its sense of humor about
I
what
would
it
say
is.
that's
So
right. Yeah.
yeah, because it's like, this is not to like trash on it, saying like, oh, you guys can't laugh at a joke. Like, no, there's some shitty jokes, and yeah, conservatives have the same 2 fucking jokes they use all over, and that shit sucks. But
No, it's
there
not a
has-
dig. It's just that we're still figuring that out. Like, how do we have a distinctive comedic style that is both transgressive in the way that comedy has to be without hurting people
exactly
or like putting ourselves in danger.
Yeah, because we talk about a lot of this show, and we laugh about like the shitty parts of it. We've laughed about the fact that, like, you know, we've signed forms to go on medicine that means that, you know, we're going to experience physical harm. We've joked about losing family and friends, it being misgendered, and like guys not taking us seriously. And so the development of
Guys
that,
take me very seriously.
okay. Well, when they see the size of your dick, that's why. So yeah, I want to know what your guys' thoughts are in terms of just like how the gay comedy was in this, and maybe even specifically like how you think it would be a good idea for trans comedy to move forward. I never said this was going to be an easy question.
It's a
I just like
difficult
throwing these.
one.
I like throwing these out there.
Come on the pod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on.
We
the
are going to
show.
be we are going to be the center point of the new trans comedy.
I'm not fine with that. Actually, I would say I don't want to be responsible for anything. But yeah, like it's hard to have the conversations because you have to acknowledge the feelings of individuals. Like, nobody wants to be made fun of in a way that's hurtful. But
Well, yeah, and like a lot of
the
the jokes that even we make on this show, like a lot of trans people wouldn't be super cool with it. Like it's not that I think people will cancel us. It's that I think that not everyone's quite in the emotional place where they're ready to make the sort of jaded, cynical humor that we do.
Ready. I mean, I don't think ready is the right word, because I feel like that can be sort
That's
of
true,
like
yeah.
just that's just assuming that we are in the right and assuming
Yes,
that we are in the correct
we are just
place. But it's
advanced
like,
trans. We are better than everybody
but
else. You're right.
Yeah, but it's more like, I think that, you know, we're doing what I think a lot of people have as in their friend circles, saying like, I know you and and I need to fucking just joke about this horrible shit in the world, and but I need to pretend, like, make this horrible shit less serious in a safe place, otherwise
Yes,
it's going to
exactly.
like continuously bum me out, which
in a safe
is
place,
hard to,
in a safe place, and also in a place where people are receptive to it.
Yeah, because I think one of the first steps for trans comedy, the way I see it, and based on just interactions with everybody, I think its first step is actually going to be nihilistic, which is, like, if I'm going to take a stab in the dark of where it could go, just based on the fact that, like, it's, like, that is one of the major things that kind of binds us all together, no matter what area of life we're in. It's just the sometimes the feeling of hopelessness. And so I think that could be one of the places that we start. But I think it's just like in the beginning, like, transition for like anybody who's like year 1 or 2, like, this might be a harder thing to hear. It's like, how could you make, you know, laugh about anything of this? And generally speaking, from year 3 on, you're like, okay, I get it. But it's one of those things where I would like to see, and it's very hard to say to the community that we need to find ways to be funny about things.
Well, it's like, I think what we need is bases for that are, because I think that most trans people actually do that kind of cynical humor amongst their friends, their trans friends, people who they trust and people who they know are receptive. It's just that when they get out of that space, there is no equivalent space where that kind of humor can go.
Yeah.
That's broader. And so like, and in like the gay community, there is a larger space for that kind of comedy. I mean, we see that in fucking Caleb Gallo, you know. This has an audience because that space exists. For it to exist in. And so it's about building the kind of platforms and spaces for trans comedy where people will be there to enjoy it on its own terms without trying to like necessarily deconstruct it into like discourse, which I think is a problem that often happens.
And also too, like, I mean, like, for anybody listening who goes like, well, why is it important that like that group form their own sense of comedy? it's because of like one of the things I see is just like when it comes to the mainstream acceptance of like queer individuals and the queer community, it often comes through like this homogenization of just like a relatability for hets. So like we have to like almost like change our language to match theirs in a way that they understand. And I want to see trans comedy develop because like for a lot of stuff that we do, there's a lot of cishets that like will talk to us and be like, what does this mean? And that's what I want to see. It's like I want to see our own culture of that, our own take on comedy, and I want I guess like because it doesn't happen very often, I want the people, the cishets, to come over to our side and go like they have to understand our comedy rather than the other way around. So it isn't
Which, no, that's oppressive. How dare you create something that the cishets have to work to be accessible?
Yeah, no, they are truly the most oppressed minority. Straight Pride 2019.
And it's like comedy as catharsis.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, also, one
talked
thing
about this
that I
before.
think, to get navel-gazy again, it's kind of like, like our whole, like, there's no such thing as good representation, so therefore let's, like, see what else we can get from it. Because, we still, like, again, going back to we live in capitalist hell world, if we are able to create comedy and identify comedy or identify media that we enjoy, even if it's imperfect, but stuff that is better, then the like marketing powers that be will see that and be like, oh, we want more of that. Like it reminds me of the She-Ra show on Netflix.
Yeah.
Which the first season was pretty gay. The next season was explicitly gay because 100% of the fans were there for the gay. Mm-hmm. And it's completely imperfect, and like, like representation wise, there's a million other places you could take it, but the people said, we want more gay. Same with, I mean, I've never watched Steven Universe, but that's kind of what I get from that, is that the fans kept saying, we want more gay, and they said, okay, we'll give you more gay. So if we're able to create standards for what is good and acceptable queer comedy that does push the line, then as long as we're in capitalist hell world, that will become more and more available.
Yeah, and that's what I want to see, because like there is I don't like, to your point about capitalist hell world, if we continue to be in a situation where we adapt our life and our comedy and I do say our culture to fit a mainstream acceptance through like for like heterosexual norms, then we lose ourselves in the process, and I don't like that. I think that what we have is very good. I think we have a unique culture, and also too, like we say about this in terms of trans women, I want to know more stuff about trans guys. I for the zine that we're working on, I interviewed a trans guy, and he gave me some of the funniest fucking jokes I've ever heard. He gave me permission to say this, so I'm gonna put this out there, but. He was telling me like some of the jokes that they have inside with their friends, because I was asking what would be appropriate to put in a zine. I didn't want to step out of line, and he was saying one of the jokes that they make is that they all wish that they had a penis big enough to disappoint a woman, and that to me is still one of the
disappoint
funniest
me,
jokes.
baby.
I know, right? And that is one of the funniest jokes I will ever hear, and I want more of that. I think that's hilarious. If we can all come together to laugh about that stuff. Humor does bring people together, and we're laughing because we're all in it together. And the reason that fucking cishets couldn't pull this off is because I can't imagine a way in which they are laughing with us and not at our expense.
Mm-hmm. So I have been on every single date in this entire show.
Okay.
Like, like the date with the bear where he's like, can I come, like, how sexual are you feeling right now? Or Caleb's like, so what are your interests? And he's like, I like being whipped and gagged. And like, can I come sit on the same side of the table as you? Yeah. And that kind of date. Like, have you been on that date? Because I've been on that date.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, totally.
But that said, the bear was 100% my type.
Oh,
so
yeah,
the bear was
he
sexy.
Cute. Oh, he was so cute. I like the fact that he was in like, what is it that they called it? Fucking like a lesbian focus.
A lesbian-centric, semi-non-sexual throuple with us and Mike Blake.
Because we sleep with each other, and we also sleep with him, but not as much as each other. And we're
we
a
don't have
throuple.
sex with him as much as we have sex with each other, but he is in this relationship. He's in this relationship.
And we love him. I absolutely love that. Perfect. So that pretty much does it for this week's episode. Just a couple housekeeping things as we like to do at the end of these. Patreon's still going. Again, we're planning on doing more early release episodes, and we're very close to having our hosting costs covered, which is our big main goal. So if you would like to go ahead, if you're able to donate even smaller amounts, it would be greatly appreciated. Just because we want to keep going as long as we can, and we enjoy doing this, and from the feedback we've gotten, you folks enjoy doing it or listening to us. So that would be great. And if you can't do that, that's totally fine. We all have been broke-ass people. I've been homeless. So I would say fucking just, if you could, just like send us to your friends. Let them listen to us. And rate us on iTunes or whatever fucking medium that you're listening to us on.
The only ethical consumption under capitalism is listening to our podcast.
This is the only one.
And eating ass.
Yeah, eating... Eating ass in this podcast will be one of our t-shirts coming out eventually down the road. Please, Patreon, it helps us immensely. And then join us on our Discord server as well. We have lots of lovely folks in there. We've managed to keep it anti-horny now for I think 2 weeks. It's been 14 days since we started, and it's been anti-horny. So if you are tired of literally every other trans Discord server out there, I would say come on over, and we talk instead about politics and the Christian belief system and how it's valid. I don't know how else to pitch it. It's really good people.
We debate transubstantiation, which is what we mean by
Jesus
trans.
is Lord.
We believe that when you perform the Eucharist and you eat your communion wafer, you are indeed eating the true and literal body of Christ, but in a sexual way. And so if you're not down with that, don't join our Discord server.
It's our Discord is just the horny Council of Nicaea.
Alright, well, yeah, so that's about it for that. And yeah, again, any feedback, come join us on the Discord server. We always love talking to people. So to end off things, I'm Madeline Hops. You can get me at rabbit_is_dead on Twitter and on Twitch. I like to stream art, and I tend to work on fucking video games and shit as well. I will be finally getting to see my daughter again in a couple days. I'm so excited. By the time this goes out, I will have already seen her. But I'm very excited to see her. So this summer will be the summer of going to literally do every single cool thing, because I don't have to work currently, so I'm going to take her to literally everything, and I'm going to make picnics, and I'm going to be just a fucking awesome mom, because I love to do it. So that's going to be my next 2 months, plus this show.
You go first. You go first.
I'm Amelia Blair. I'm at Lavender Astro on Twitter. I'm not up to anything. I got nothing to plug.
I'm Ree Carter at Twitter, RHICARTER. I make video games in dead genre, and I don't fucking know. Doesn't matter. Nothing matters.
Life is meaningless. Perfect. So again,
I hate this part of the podcast where I have to admit that I don't do anything.
You're busy.
Stop doing this part.
You're busy smoking your jewels. It's you got your jewels.
My jewels.
You got shit going on.
What
Smoking
are kids
your
like these days?
jewel
Jewels.
cigarette.
They like their jewels and their Netflix.
Thank you all again for joining us, and as always, we'll see you in a week or two. Love you all. Stay safe, and bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.